Hello and welcome. I'm Lisa M. Harrison, and you're listening to Deconstructing the Construct. Welcome to Episode 3, The Construct. To begin, I would like to define the words that we use these days to address our reality. Words like construct, matrix, simulation, holographic reality. I often hear these terms used interchangeably, but I think they need to be defined. For me, they mean very different things. A construct is a creation because it is constructed, created. Creator beings create constructs in order to have experiences for the purpose of soul growth. Simulation, that's what we are currently in. It is a simulation of an original construct. Matrix. The word matrix applies because this simulation is code. It's math. And holographic applies because that is how the matrix is expressed. It is code expressed holographically. So when you hear me use these words, this is my definition for them. And in this particular episode, we are going to cover the original construct. Outside of these constructs, in what I call base reality, we are creator beings. And we create these constructs, as I said, for the purpose of experience. We create solo constructs that are just for us. And we also co-create constructs with others, with other creator beings, in order for us to co-create experience. In this particular instance, a creator being had an idea. He wanted to do something new, something that had never been done before. And we will get to what that was later. And he reached out to, let's call them 12 of his mates, and they workshopped this new idea. And together they created this construct based on 12 realms. 12 realms of time. The first realm being what I call the home realm. The third realm is where we were. And the 12th realm was the end of time. You can think of the construct as a whole like a big amusement park, and the 12 realms of time being different rides in the amusement park for different experiences. You can go on a ghost train and be spooked. You can go through a hall of mirrors and be distorted. You can go on a roller coaster and be terrified. You can go on the Ferris wheel and either be terrified at the height or find it a very peaceful, awe-inspiring ride to go on. You can go on a merry-go-round. They're just different experiences. They offer different extremes of emotion, different opportunities for creation and co-creation and expression. And you decide which ones you want to go on. You decide which ones you want to experience, which ones you want to feel, which ones you want to create on. So it's not necessarily that these realms get progressively better or worse. They're just different. They just offer different experiences. And each one has its own template, its own theme. As an example, what we call Atlantis and ancient Egypt were actually part of the same realm. They were the same realm of time, the same timeline. When we decide to participate, to experience a construct, we project an aspect of our soul into it. We can call that our avatar in the game. And we are connected to this avatar via the heart. We guide the avatar through the heart and through our heart frequency. The mind, on the other hand, appears to belong to the avatar itself. It's the character, the personality that we've created for ourselves to play in the game. And when we finish, when we've completed our time in a construct, we integrate that mind back into our soul, and it holds all of the experience that we've had here. And our soul is expanded by that. So the state of the mind, the condition of the mind is very, very important. Which brings us back to the initial concept, the initial experiment that this particular construct was. It was an experiment in free will, which was different to freedom, which is what the other constructs have been based on. And it is my speculation as to what that means. I believe what that means is we gave the avatar free will. We gave the mind free will to see what it would do on its own, to see what it would do if it thought it was autonomous, if it forgot who it was. Instead of realizing and remembering and knowing who we actually are in and outside of the construct, it was given free rein. It was given free will. And that's where it all kind of went wrong. Somehow this free will, and I don't pretend to understand the mechanics of how, but somehow this free will led to what I'm calling the mind virus. And everyone in the construct was infected by this mind virus to some degree or another. This mind virus led to actions, manifestations of control over others, as opposed to co-creation with. It expresses itself as pure psychopathy and what we consider pure evil. And the most infected did not want the construct to end. They didn't want anyone to leave. So looping, resets, manufactured timelines, all kinds of distortions were created in order to keep us in here. And we got lost in the system, you could say. The greater part of us found it harder and harder to connect with the avatar, to guide the avatar. And Holmes said that the construct was locked from the inside. So even when you died, you weren't leaving. You were being recycled straight back through into one of the realms. And Home also said that constructs have a clock. And I know not everybody agrees with me on this one. But for me, the Mayan calendar was actually the clock for the construct. And in December of 2012, what it was talking about was the end of time, the completion. At this time, when it completed, when it closed out and everybody supposedly woke up at home, the minds were so fractured. The minds had been so distorted and programmed and looped through this construct and its systems so many times. It truly thought that this was real, this was the reality. It didn't understand where it was. It was like a dementia patient. It had completely forgotten. It had forgotten its original home. And it led to what Home called the greatest mind wipe creation had ever known, because it could not be reintegrated. So you can understand why, as I said earlier, the state of the mind is so important. And this was unacceptable. So we were placed in a simulation of the original construct. And this simulation was a complete copy of that completely inverted, corrupted, virus-filled construct. It had to be a complete copy in order for the transition to be as seamless as possible. And that transition, file by file, person by person, you could say, took place over the course of 2013. In the next episode, it will be about this current simulation that we're in. But right now, we're talking about the original construct and the reason for the simulation. As for the original construct, you could say it's closed for business. No one is entering it anymore. It's been closed, everybody removed. It's been archived, and it will never happen again. And the simulation was created in order for us to deconstruct our minds, to discover how and why it went wrong, the mechanics of it, in order to ensure that it doesn't happen again. And for those whom it was very seamless, they don't believe the main calendar had any validity to it at all, or that it was misinterpreted. But some of you, through an event or a series of events, had your life turned upside down in 2013, or even the end of 2012. And why would that be? Why would it be so seamless for some and so life-changing for others that year? I believe it's because you were coherent enough, clear-minded enough, just enough, when you originally woke up, to know that you had to come into the simulation with a purpose and a mission to help wake up the others, to play a part in figuring out what went wrong and why. And to fulfill that mission, that purpose, you had to get on a completely different path. And that often included a different geography, different people in your life, different career, different everything. So it all had to be turned upside down for you. This episode is actually shorter than expected. I thought there'd be more to say about the original construct, but to be honest, there really isn't. We know who created it. Creator beings just like us, for the purpose of experience and soul growth. We know it was an experiment and something that had never been done before, that experiment of free will. We know that that free will led to a mind virus that corrupted the entire construct and everybody in it. We know that it came to an end in an unfortunate way, and as a result, we were placed in a simulation, one that Home referred to as a copy of Home, but a very bad one at that, in order to deconstruct ourselves, deconstruct our minds. So we will pick up next episode from 2013 onwards, inside the simulation. So I hope you'll join me then. Bye for now.